Let's see. Let's see who shows up. It's laundry day here at Casa de Sharp. Don't forget to check out Coffee Brand Coffee. Oh, it's been a week. It's been a week. Let me tell you. Are you coming in? Are you coming in or are you going to stay out there? You coming in? At any rate, he's been at a friend's house for a few days. I worked a very, very long week, and this is going to be kind of a channel update as well. So I'm going to stop doing a pre-recorded video on Mondays. So you're going to get these. You know, we're doing these live feeds. So who's here? It says there's 3 people here, but I can't tell who it is. Yeah, 3. I can't read my phone without my reading glasses anymore. Getting old. 0 out of 10. Do not recommend. Would never purchase again. So I worked like a 54-hour week this week. So I didn't have a lot of time for filming. I'm not going to film these 2 days off that I have. I got stuff I got to do. So on top of everything else, I really don't have that much to film as far as content. I got some stuff that I have to finish up. So what I'm going to do is, because the videos that I do on Monday, they really don't get any traction. Nobody really watches the Monday videos. The ones that do well are my Friday videos and my Sunday videos. But I get a lot of you guys that show up here. Here, let me clean that lens. I get a lot of you guys that show up here for these live feeds. And I was like, you know what? If I just do like a Sunday night into Monday live feed, that'll hit Monday content. You guys saw the video that went up this morning. Well, some of you did, not many. Guys, there's 7 of you here and only 1 like. Please hit that like button. So we're gonna pare down even more. What's the bottom knife in the thumbnail? That is something we're gonna talk about when we get some more people here. So Beta Bucks Deluxe. Sorry, I'm putting my pew pew on its stand out here in the studio. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So let me get the channel update stuff out of the way. But it's a great, great knife, and we are going to look at it because it's my current pick for knife of the year. Yeah, it's been hectic. The wife and kid are gone. I'm here by myself. So today's laundry day. So I'm not going to have time to do a bunch of filming. Plus, I'm tired. I worked 6 hours. 6 hours shy of a 60-hour week this week because we're shorthanded in hours and stuff. So like I said, I just decided I wanted to do this. I don't even want to try and clean up the studio. I don't even want to set up the green screen. I don't even want to break out my tripods and lights. I'm like, you know what? We're just gonna do this. I want to spend some time with the pup. He's been gone for a week. So bottom knife in the thumbnail is the Microtech. This is the Microtech Amphibian. So this is an absolutely amazing knife. And I wanted to talk about the knives that are, why does it seem like I have something messed up here? There we go. There we go. That's better. So yeah, this is an absolutely amazing knife. Beef Baron, you're at work right now. It's 97 degrees here tonight. It's a great evening here. It's just about, hang on, I'll tell you, 60 degrees right now. So, but it was like 83 degrees earlier, and I sleep during the day because I'm working nights, and so we don't have AC here at the house. So it was a little bit warm in that bedroom. So. Beef Baron, where do you work? Where do you work? I have to pack up. I do have to pack up some stuff to send off tomorrow. I have some errands that I have to run in the morning as well. So tomorrow morning, I have some knives I got to ship back to Scab over at Choir Boys Cutlery. I've got a bunch of his stuff that's still here. I have the knife he gave me that I still haven't finished a review on. But like I said, new laundry, new washing machine, and we've got a problem. So that's the other thing is brand new washing machine, and first 3 loads of laundry I've done because we haven't had a washing machine for a week and a half. First 3 loads of laundry I've done, the error code has popped up every time. So I'm like, oh, great. So we got to figure that out tomorrow. But it's just been a hectic week here. And like I said, with me being by myself, I just don't feel like filming and trying to do all this stuff. I went grocery shopping this morning after work because I needed stuff that I can just cook easy, especially if I'm going to work a bunch of overtime. At any rate, one of the other things that is causing a hiccup in the whole review process is I have gotten 2 knives in that I purchased with my own money that I'm absolutely over the moon with. And I'm the guy that always gets a lemon when I buy a knife. I bought the military, here, I'll turn you around here. Let's see, is this gonna work? I bought the Military 2 with the compression lock. Sorry, there's a bunch of stuff going on here. Military 2 with the compression lock. It's in CPM Crew Wear and brown micarta. And I always get the Spydercos that are off center with the shit grinds. This is the best Spyderco I've ever purchased, hands down, as far as consistency. You're not on a tripod, so if it's shaky, I apologize. And this, I bought this. I had one of these come in for review, and I purchased one when I realized how good it was. And the one that I purchased is even better than the one that came in for review, in my opinion. I found some little things with the other one that I'm not seeing in this. There's been some minor changes to the lock interface and some stuff, but you can see both of these knives have bogarted a place in my pocket. Oh, just like full time. So even when you guys see the videos that I'm doing at work, these are still in my pocket. I'm bringing other knives and I'm showcasing knives that are good EDC knives, not to break the illusion of what happens on YouTube, but just because that's what I'm doing as a pocket drop doesn't mean that's what I'm carrying for my entire night shift. Guys, by the way, don't forget to check out Coffee Brand Coffee with my link down below. You can save 10% on your overall purchase. But keep in mind that when you make a purchase through them, it automatically is a subscription for some reason, and you have to kind of select non-subscription. But it does support the channel, and it's a good company, and it is non-political, so you can make all your decisions that way. And if you're here, please drop a like, because it helps with the algorithm. So, but at any rate, what I was saying is, I on top of everything, these have taken up so much time in my pocket over the last couple, like basically month or so, couple months, that I haven't gotten a lot of other stuff reviewed. I got some stuff that came in. I have some stuff that came in, and the problem with stuff coming in is sometimes it's really good. And then sometimes you're like, I'm not really sure about this. And so I try to be fair to everything that shows up on the channel and give it a good shot. So there's some stuff that's here that is getting, it's on the fence whether it's actually going to get done or if it's going to get sent back. I have stuff that's here that was sent with the caveat that I send it on to others. And there's a couple things that I just don't know how I feel about it. And the fact is that the companies have done a really good job with other stuff in the past. And I'm just kind of thinking that I need to reach out to them and say, you know, this isn't the best look. And I may do a video, but I'm not sure how it's going to pan out. You know, I don't want you to be upset. Like, I have to be honest. And if I don't think it's worth it. But I did have something show up that I'm not really on the fence about. This is one of those, I'd never heard of this. They are called Joker, and it's a company in Spain. So these are made in Spain. And I need to close that garage door here soon. I was trying to cool it down out here. It was like 75, 76 degrees out here. I'll show it to you in a second. push this. Guys, I'm going to tell you what, if you spend a lot of time in your garage, these screen doors, these garage screen doors, one of the best purchases you'll ever make. We used to, we don't have bugs in the house anymore. I used to have to fight with flies and stuff in the house all the time. But what I was saying was, I got one of these knives in. It's called a Joker. I haven't looked into it real hard. I haven't looked at price or anything. A guy named Zach Schmidt, who sent me a lot of stuff for the channel, a lot of fixed blade stuff. He said he wanted to see my thoughts on it. This showed up yesterday before I went to work. Yeah. No, yesterday before I went to bed. So yesterday about lunchtime. So this is a fixed blade in a leather sheath. Man, it's so tight. Hang on. Let me put you down here. It's in a leather sheath. N690 blade. What appears to be, because I haven't looked it up yet. Turn this around. It's a little dark in here, but it appears to be micarta handles. Pretty sure it's micarta. N690 blade. And this is the Lynx Bowler N690, 695, I'm sorry, Bowler N695 made in Spain. What was that excitement all about? Come charging in here from the yard. What are you so excited about? So, guys, this is going to be a very boring live feed if I have to be the only one interacting. Please hit the comments section. Like, if you're going to drop a comment. And happy Father's Day, everyone. A little bit late. There's 24 of you here and only 3 likes. It gets really, really hard to do one of these live feeds if I don't have interaction. Beef Baron's here. Beta Deluxe was here. I have 2 comments on this live feed already 12 minutes in. So, yeah, those knives, those 2 knives you saw in the thumbnail have really just, they've taken all the space in my pocket. They've taken up all the space in my pocket. They're pretty much the only thing I carry. They're still in the testing process. Notice my most carried right is almost identical, except my other is the Manix XL identical otherwise. Okay, RD, I want to go back and readdress that comment because it says, noticed most carried right mine is almost identical, except my other is Manix XL identical otherwise. So which one is identical? Because that, like, I'm having a hard time with that one. And I do know that I have, Microtech and, okay, so you have the Microtech Amphibian. That is such a good knife. The Microtech Amphibian is going to have a review done here before too long, and I'm going to say something about it that I have very rarely said, is that this knife, for all intents and purposes, is perfect. There's a couple little minor things on it that are not a functional issue. This thing is so, so good. It has possibly the best. Oh, and I want to address a comment. Somebody commented when I did the thing about the axis lock being, somewhat, I talked about this. This is basically a crossbar lock, just like the axis lock. Benchmade's axis lock has a spring on either side of the bar. And I have numerous times for friends and customers, I'll send a knife in for sharpening. It's like, hey, I got a broken spring. When I send it in for sharpening, can you swap the springs out? Like, they're not comfortable taking knives apart. And I've done it. Benchmade 940s, super famous for having the Omega springs break. And so I've done it a bunch of times. I had somebody comment about that's absolute, it was baloney or something else, gibberish. That's what it was. Absolute gibberish that there's no, there's no fact in the fact that there's 2 springs, and if you actuate from one side to the other, you're going to get, and they were like, it's a more expensive way to do it. It's expensive and it doesn't make any sense. And I was like, wait a second. I know that I've had at least several friends break the Omega springs by actuating from one side or the other because this has a central spring. That's one. I know I've done it for customers. That's 2. 3 being, if that's a more expensive way to do it, why is this knife cheaper than most Benchmades? I'm just saying. Benchmade's knives are $500 to $700 sometimes. They got some knives on their lineup, yeah, that are cheaper, but they're still in the same price range as this, and this is better. And if it was true that this was a more expensive way to do it, then this knife would not be cheaper than the first Microtech I ever bought. This knife is $150 cheaper than the first Benchmade I bought, or I'm sorry, the first Microtech I bought, which was $450. This is about $150 cheaper than it was either DOC or the Ultratech, the Bayonet Ultratech. They've dropped their prices. Get on board, Benchmade. Let's see here. I just saw a work message about something that happened at work, and I was like, I don't want to read it. I don't want to read it. And then I know some of you guys probably saw, if you haven't, I did a video about this where I was like, did Spyderco ruin this 25-year-old design? So this is the Military 2. I've handled the Military, the original. And some people are like, I hate it. They screwed it up. Like, I hate the compression lock. I love the compression lock. It's probably one of the best locks on the market. It has all the good points of one of the super strong lockbacks, like the Axis lock. It has the functionality and ease, especially if you put a CME on it, of a button lock. And none of the drawbacks of a frame lock or a liner lock. So I'm saying it's basically a button lock. It works very similar to a button lock. The compression lock's super, super strong. It's up there with the Axis lock. It really is. It's a very, very strong lock. One of the strongest locks you'll ever find in a knife. The other thing about this knife is the original Military is very, very rounded. And what they did was, when they did this, they changed some of the ergos to be more in line with the PM, what do you want to call it? The PM2, where these are sharper angles. It's supposed to have the liner, and you get the comfort of there not being a liner lock where you don't have a cutout for that. It just feels really good. And then adding this CME, the compression made easy, it kind of fills in that spot. So any weirdness you would get on the back of it from the compression lock pretty much goes away. Is it allowed to have? Is it allowed to have what? Compression lock with CME should be how it comes from the factory, honestly. Some people don't like it. I mean, it's all up to personal preference. I love it because it really allows easier operation. Like when you're doing a frame lock, like my thumbs are really, really calloused. Like my thumbs are really, really calloused from doing shit and knife stuff, and over the years burning it when I'd be making knives and things. So my thumbs are really, really calloused. Yeah, I can carry whatever the fuck I want. I live in the land of freedom units. I carry whatever the fuck I want. And for those of you in Europe who complain that when I do weights, I only do it in ounces, right? 4.5. I refuse anymore to convert from freedom units to too lazy to fraction units. I refuse. I'm convinced that Europeans are just too lazy to figure out fractions. So if a knife is 2 5/8 ounces, you better get ChatGPT to help you with your fractions and figure it out in grams, because I'm not doing it anymore. Unless it's on the spec sheet for whatever knife I happen to look up. So that happens to be one knife I haven't purchased yet, is the Spyderco Military. Belgium is very restricted. I do know that. As a matter of fact, I'm currently carrying a Pew Pew this knife and this knife. And I have a sign that on the door. I have a, well, I took it down because it was a laminated one. I had a sign up on the door that says, "This door you're about to kick in is locked for your protection, not for mine." So, yeah, I'm absolutely in love with this. It's probably one of the best Spydercos I've ever had. It's probably one of the best Spydercos they make. This may have taken the spot for my favorite model of Spyderco over the Endura. I love the Endura series. They've got a really functional blade shape. They're a very, very strong knife, but I think that this just has really taken its spot. Spyderco Little Temperance in K390, third pocket carry. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, RD, this is probably, like I said, I had the police, as far as like my favorite models from Spyderco, as far as functionality, for a long time it was the Endura. But when you get down to like cool factor, it's the police model. I think the police model is my favorite overall, just awesome Spyderco. This one, as far as just being a great, great carry for functionality, just the way it feels in hand and everything, it's got to be this one. I think this is the pinnacle of what Spyderco does. The PM2, I think, is still the best all-around EDC, mainly because not everybody is 6'3", 240 pounds like me and wants a knife that is well over 9 inches in their pocket. Not everybody wants that. And I think that the PM2 winds up being a very good option in that case. As a matter of fact, my PM2 is, would you get in here? Come on, in. Come on, come here. He misses my wife. He's out there snuggling with her slipper. Come on. Are you lonely? Do you miss our girls? My wife and daughter are both in Japan, and he has been distraught. Yeah, you miss him. I miss him too. There you go. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Let's see. I have my PM2 still spends a lot of time in my pocket going up the steps. I have a baby. I have a doggy gate, so he likes to come up here and he gets into stuff. Like he gets in my daughter's room and starts pulling her stuffed animals off her bed. And she doesn't want me to let him destroy her stuffed animals. Yeah, PM2, still probably the best all-around EDC of all time. I did a video about that. I said it in the video. I'm not a Spyderco fanboy and never have been. Guys, if you're here, please drop a like. Like there's 23, there's a little spot where there's 3 dots. Click that, you'll see a spot where you can drop a like. It helps with the algorithm. And it's free. You don't even have to exit out of the live feed to do it. I can't wait for the Rex 121 stage. Okay, let's talk about Rex 121 and Maximat. These are really similar. They're basically the same steel when it comes down to it. I have seen, at this point, at least 5 people that I know that have broken their Maximat or Rex 121 blades. It's a good steel if you want something that will hold an edge for almost forever, right? It really is. If you know what you're getting into when you purchase those steels, it's great. There's a handful of people that will do sharpening on it. I don't like sharpening it, but I will say it takes an aggressive edge. However, when you're talking about a steel that has that much tungsten, is that hard, you start getting into problems. And if it's a steel you love, that's fine. And there are some guys that do a great job with it. Big Brown Bear. Sean does a great job with his Maximet and Rex 121. I've sharpened it. I sharpened it at a show with him on his stones. It's a he does a great job on all of his heat treats. He's one of those guys that innovates on heat treats. Now, with that out of the way, for the average user, it's not a steel you want. It is very finicky to sharpen. It's incredibly brittle. It will chip. And I have seen videos and images of people with a great big chunk of their Spyderco missing where it just broke off because they were cutting a zip tie and happened to flex it. If you know what you're getting into and it's a steel you like, that's fine. I don't think it's a great steel for the average user, and I don't think it's a good steel for in EDC knives. I don't. Personally think, I'm about to make a pot of coffee here. I personally think it does have its place for specific things. What it was designed for, it excels of that. It was to be used for end mills where people typically use tungsten carbide, but they wanted a tungsten steel version. And what they did was they put a bunch of tungsten in a steel and made it incredibly hard so you can still do machining and things like that with the ease of being able to sharpen it with diamond wheels and things like that. So it's not something I recommend to the average user. It really, really isn't. Now, if you can refine if you can refine how you use that knife, or if you have a specific purpose that you're going to use that knife for, I would say it's no different than ceramic kitchen knives. Ceramic kitchen knives, incredibly sharp. They'll stay sharp forever. But the second you start misusing them, you're going to chip, you're going to break, you're going to have a lot of problems. So I have a ceramic knife, and I use it for cutting cardboard all the time. So it's all a matter of knowing the capabilities and limitations of a material. I got to turn this light on so I can make some coffee here. But like I said, if it's something you like and you enjoy having and you want to just add one to your collection, I would say yeah. Especially if it would be something like if you're processing a lot of meat where you're not going to be hitting bone, that's where ceramic knives come in really well, really good too. It's the same with anything. If like, okay, Crewware has some serious limitations. It's a high carbon steel. It's not, I can't remember if it is stainless, it's just on the edge of stainless. It's just got just enough chromium in it to be considered stainless. Crewware rusts really easily, as does D2, but they're great steels. So knowing the limitations. So I'm trying to get my coffee pot put together. I may have to set you guys down. I'm using the complicated one. Let's see. Oh, I know. I did professional knife sharpening. Like professional knife makers sent their knives to me. Elliot Williamson had me sharpen most of the in-house knives that they did when they were still doing the mid-tech style knives. There we go. I'm using the gravity. Guys, please, there's 24 of you here. I guarantee there's way more than 24. I usually get about 1,000 views on one of these live feeds. Hit the like button, please. Like, I'm not asking you to drop super chats, even though that option's available. I'm just asking you to hit the like button. That's fucking free. I have to go pick up my daughter's diploma tomorrow. They didn't have the diplomas ready at her actual graduation, so I have to go pick up her diploma tomorrow at her school. No doubt want to try to hit it twice. I mean, what's this one? Coffee Brand Coffee. Guys, if you like, you guys hear me talk. I'm wearing a Coffee Brand Coffee shirt. They're a channel sponsor from here, like from time to time. If you guys think I'm kidding about how much I like their coffee, I've said this before. And these are just the roaster's choice. My personal favorite is their blackberry cream. They have a coffee called Blackberry Cream. It's just, I'm not even a fan of flavored coffee. I got to put you guys down again. I'm not even a fan of flavored coffee. Let me see. Can I? Here we go. Let's do this. I'm not even a fan of flavored coffee, and I love the Blackberry Cream. They have several flavors that I just love. This one is really good. So thumbs up, fellas. Divine. Nobody hit it. Guys, if you hit the like button, I'll smile. See? Told you. The company was founded by another YouTuber, and he hit me up and asked me if I wanted to blackberry cream. The blackberry cream is great. All right, check it out. There is, it feels weird drinking coffee at fucking midnight. There should be a spot somewhere on your screen where you see 3 little dots. If you click that, there should be a like button on there. See? This thing irritates me. My fancy coffee pot is not in freedom units, which everybody's like, oh, you should switch to Celsius. I'm like, Fahrenheit's about twice as accurate for measuring temperature. See, sure is, right? Yeah, all you have to do is like hit those 3 dots and it pops down. It lets you do a like. I keep getting something popping up though that says. So I started doing the vertical live feeds like this because it gets you more exposure. So literally, I get 3 times as many views on one of these live feeds that I do vertical like this than I do on just a regular live feed. Even if I schedule it, even if I have guests and I publicize it, because it puts it on the shorts feed. And I do a lot of shorts, and I'm like, well, that makes sense. So let's talk a little bit more in depth about I fucking hate this knife. I wanted one for so long. It was kind of like an offhand grail. I just couldn't justify Benchmade's ridiculous price. The butterfly tax it's just ridiculous. I couldn't afford it. I couldn't justify this. And then now that I have one, so if the dude that gave this to me, I'm not going to call him out. If the dude that gave me this knife sees this, I apologize for what I'm about to say. I have never been so disappointed in something that I got for free ever. Like typically you get something for free, you're not going to complain. This is just a bad knife. And it's a cool design, but like it's a cool design. The axis lock was innovative, but at this point, after this many years, it's just not a knife that I think is up to snuff. It's too thick. They haven't innovated anything. It's so low on the innovation scale that I'm surprised it didn't win the best innovative design at Blade Show this year. I think a lot of you know where I'm going with that. This knife that is 14 years old won most innovative design of 2024 at Blade Show. At any rate, the thing that I was talking about, we'll go out here to my messy studio. The thing that I was talking about, I got to turn you around here. It is messy out here. This is what it looks like when I come home from work. I just toss stuff on my workbench. So there is a spring here, and then you got the bar, and then there's a spring here, right? So those springs, the way this was intended to be used is you pull back on both of them at the same time, right? That way you get equal tension on both sides. But that's not what people do. People do this, or they do this, and they actuate it. And so what happens is, just like with any spring, when you compress it, right? Your spring starts to lose strength. It's like bending a paper clip. A spring is like a paper clip. When you bend a paper clip back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, it gets brittle, and then it breaks. And that's what happens to the Omega springs in a Benchmade style axis lock. Now, a few years ago, Benchmade released a knife called the Anthem. And it was an integral, and it's one of the few Benchmades that I liked. It definitely was not worth the price that they were asking for it. I'm like, well, that's just a ridiculous amount of money. My friend got one for 400 or 500. I can't remember. And the 33 of you here, please find the 3 little dots, push that, and it'll drop down a like tab. You can like the video. I would appreciate it. At any rate, it had a different version of the axis lock. It had a plunger spring. It had a linear spring. And it had like a linear spring in like a plunger format, and then it had the crossbar was more of a block that slid back and forth. Right? Really, really good, cool thing. If you look at the ram lock, that's how it is. Now, the reason that's better is, one, it's more stable. Your bar doesn't move around. It's one solid piece. We're going to look at this from above now. I'm just checking on my coffee. So when you look at this, there's a spring here. So it's linear. It comes straight back. So it doesn't matter if you put tension on it from this side or if you put tension on it from this side. Either way you do that, even if you don't use both, the spring's getting the same amount of compression every time. And this spring was going to be so much easier to replace. If you need to replace that spring, you could probably just find one off the shelf that just meets the criteria you need, or reach out to Microtech. They'll probably send you one. It is one of the best lock designs out there. I said it when I had the Benchmade Anthem come in, and I was like, I can't justify the price, because that knife, my buddy's a cop. He got it at their law enforcement discount, which made it like a $400 or $500 knife. Can't remember which it was. He either paid $400 or $500 for it. They were charging $700 for it. What was this? Where are you at here? I missed those. Carry of the day, Kubi Scimitar Fixed Blade. One of the best Benchmades is a turret. My favorite full-size EDC is the Thanks for making your point. Who made your point? Coffee's brewing. Coffee be done soon. I think it's hilarious about the Benchmade. Hang on a second. When you ask to see their top Benchmades in their collection, they only... I think it's hilarious, Benchmade lovers and collectors, when you ask to see their top Benchmades in their collection, the only thing original is the blade. What the fuck? Believe it or not, my turret on washers is extremely tight and falls shut easily for an axis lock. I'm going to tell you, I have never had a Benchmade axis lock that didn't have blade play. This has got play all day and twice on Sunday. Runs on washers. Washers have their place in the laundry room, in my opinion. This one is on washers. It's tight and it's extremely smooth. If I was to tighten this up and remove the blade play, it would not be smooth. As a matter of fact, well, you got the unicorn, but everybody that you talk to about Benchmade's dialing in the pivot, oh, it's just ridiculous how hard it is to get it to work the way you want. I have not had any coffee yet. I did have a rock star when I first got up at 9. I didn't go to bed till 4. I got up at 9. So the only thing I'm running on right now is caffeine and inappropriate thoughts. Lone Star Towelboy, what is your point? I'm trying to see who made your point. The 32 of you here that are watching, the price of admission is a like. Sorry, if you snuck in under the fences, you need to go hit that little 3 dots and drop a like. And if you want, you can drop a super chat. I'm not going to complain. But yeah, I've changed my mind about certain things over the years. Like I said, I always wanted one of these. I got one as a gift. Immediately realized how bad the S30V on it was. I talked to Benchmade about trying to get an S90V blade. They said they wouldn't send me one because... Oh, okay. I realized real quick that the S30V was really, really chippy. Nothing I did worked out. I talked to Benchmade about trying to get an S90V blade, and they're like, well, we need to know what one you have. And I was like, well, it has an S30V blade now. And they're like, well, we won't do that. And I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. Fast forward a little bit, guy reached out to me, asked me if I wanted the spare S90V blade he had, and so I threw it in. And their S90V is okay. But that's when I started realizing how bad the overall setup... Oh, here we go. Here we go. Coffee magic happening. Coffee magic's happening. No, this went to Benchmade to get a new blade put in it. They put a new S90V blade in it. The blade that was in it was beat up bad. I refinished this. This is not a clone. I took this directly to Benchmade's table. The guy that gave it to me at a knife show. I walked over to Benchmade's table and gave them this knife. They looked at it and they're like, yeah, we can put a new blade in that for you. And they didn't even charge, I will say, they found out I was retired military and it was free. They didn't charge me. What? That coffee looks like prison wine. No, it doesn't. It's because the light is behind it. You're seeing light through it. It's not weak. So the way this coffee pot works is it pushes the water up through. There's a little bit of water left in the bottom of the pot. It drops through, so it looks thin at first. It looks a little weak, but it's not. It's because I've got the lights on back here shining right through it. So absolutely not a clone. This went to Benchmade, and they verified it was real and put the blade in it. And like I said, they didn't even charge me. Usually it's like $35. Oh, the brewing type. Oh, okay. It's a vacuum siphon coffee maker. It does a really, really good job of it'll take cheap coffee and make it taste better. And it'll take cheap coffee and make it taste good. And it'll take good coffee and make you go, holy shit, that's good. It's just time consuming and messy. That's the only difference. But I am a big time coffee guy. There was somebody talking about a bug out. Okay, bug out is the worst knife that Benchmade makes. Just Microtech's MK M390 MK. So I'm still in the testing phase. I finally had to sharpen this. This now has my edge on it. It's really, really aggressive. It sharpened up pretty well. I found it sharpened a little easier than my other knives in M390. I haven't looked at the Rockwell that they're running it at. I found that the factory edge on it was really, really good and held up for a long time. I cut a lot of cardboard with it, and I didn't have any real issues with edge rolling. I had no chipping. It stayed nice and sharp. It just got to where like stropping it wasn't getting it anymore. I touched it up on some ceramic a few times, and I was pretty impressed with the factory edge on it. It sharpened up nice and easy. I didn't have too many problems with the sharpening, other than it's a recurve. You know, recurves are just a little pain in the ass because I have to use a 1/2 inch stone, and I do everything freehand, so that I run the risk of cutting myself. The edge seems to be holding up really well. So a lot of people are complaining. They're saying it's just a softer, crappier version of M390, and I don't think it is. It takes a really good edge. I did find, I think it might be an even finer grader structure than your typical M390, because I did find that it just, the edge at 1,000 grit was a little slicker than I wanted. It was still really sharp, but at 600 grit with then a 9 micron strop, just was about perfect. Have I played video games as a kid? Have I played video games as a kid? I don't know. Let's go see. There's a good chance that I play video games now. I haven't turned these on in a while. You guys haven't ever seen these, I don't think. These are all playable miniatures. There we go. Dragon's Lair, Missile Command, 1942 and 43, and Asteroids. And yes, I hold the top score on all of them. Of course I do. Missile Command, Dragon's Lair, and my PS5. Yeah, I may have played video games as a kid. I may play video games as a 50-year-old adult male in just a little bit. You guys want to see something really cool? These are playable, and you can set them up just like you would at the arcade. You have the dip switches. I can set all these settings just like you would at the arcade. This is set on easy because it's Dragon's Lair. Everybody's going to play it on easy. So, but you can also do this, then exit out of your menu.
Quest to rescue the fair princess from the clutches of an evil dragon. You control the actions of a daring adventurer finding his way through the castle of a dark wizard who has ensnared it with treacherous monsters and obstacles.
That is the sound of my childhood.
In the mysterious caverns below the castle, your odyssey.
I'm going to play all those later. I'll play all those later while I'm watching YouTube videos. I haven't taken time off for me. And that's what I'm doing tonight. This one, you can actually pick between 1942 and 1943. It'll play either 1942 or 1943. You guys want to see? It sounds like an arcade. Okay, I'll turn them all on track mode. Let's see. That one's on track mode. It gets a little bit it's a little bit hectic in here. Give me a second. I'll get them all turned on. The quarters to fit them. The quarters to fit them are all currently in my Coke machine. I was playing around with my Coke machine because let me turn that on too. My Coke machine bogarts all of my all of my coins. So that's, oh, we didn't turn this one on. Replicate mode is on that one. Let's get the volume turned up on all of these. There you go. So yeah, the coins for my games are all now in the coin return slot for the Coke machine. I mean, I could put them back in the change machine. Okay, that's annoying. We gotta turn those back off. I can't have those all on like this. Whew. That'd make you crazy. Yeah, just for when you get a little thirsty. Just a little thirsty. So so invested in this right now. So there is a place called New Wave Toys. And I bought most of these that you see here were given to me. I became part of their influencer program because because they are small. That's my PS5. They are small. I got to clean up out here so bad. My fingers are too big to do this. So there we go. So you go to New Wave Toys, and they have got, here's their logo. They've got a website, and they do Replicate stuff. Hi to you. Now drop a like. It's the 3 little dots. They started doing those. I bought the Asteroids one. I did a review. I have a gaming channel, and it was different before, and most of the stuff got erased. Most of the videos got taken down. I had it with another guy, and then I started doing like game streaming on there after we deleted most of the videos. The other individual was like, you can have the channel. Here's the email login and address and everything. We converted the ownership after like 90 days. I got full ownership of the channel, and I changed the name to Crazy Sharp Game. But anyway, I did a review of one of their game cabinets, the Asteroids one that I bought. Because so you guys want some story time? Here's some story time. So when I was a kid, my dad and I used to go fishing for an entire week at a time at a place called Seneca Lake. And they had a marina where you put your bass boats in and everything. At the marina, they had a little restaurant, and they had 2 video games. They had a Pac-Man game, which I hated, and they had an Asteroids game, which I loved. And so the only thing I loved as much as being out on a boat fishing with my father was going to the marina on days it was raining and we couldn't fish, and he'd hand me a handful of quarters, and I would go play Asteroids over at the marina. So fast forward, my father's passed away and all this, and they came out with a 40th anniversary edition with the original vector graphics and everything in this 1/16th scale mod. I was like, I gotta have it. So I bought one. It's like $150. I bought it. And I have played that so much, and it brings back those memories, even though it's not, it's an offshoot memory of spending time with my father. It still is something that I associate with my father. And so I bought one, and it got a really good review. It was like a tearful, almost like nostalgic, my father had already passed away kind of thing. They loved the review, and they added me to their influencer program. And when new cabinets would come out, they would send them out. Well, they kind of did away with their influencer program. But they had already sent me a 1942 cabinet. They had already sent me a Missile Command cabinet. They had sent me a Dragon's Lair cabinet. And the person I talked to was like, we really feel bad because your first initial you know, review was so like emotional that we feel bad for taking it. So we're going to send you our newest thing. So this is actually a refrigerator that will hold 2 cans, and if you take a shelf out, 1 bottle of Coke. So, you know, I can't complain. Like, they had to end their program. They were giving away cabinets for free. So, have I played Spillgate? Nope. But I'm going to tell you what I am going to play tonight. I'm going to play a game that I just downloaded called, somebody told me that it's the Immortals of Aviant or something like that. It was free. The Stitch Ramlock. Okay, I love the Microtech Stitch. And I love the Ramlock. I don't so much love the Microtech Ramlock Stitch, if that makes any sense. I love it. Like the Microtech Stitch, until I got the Amphibian, was my favorite Microtech. What did somebody say here? It's free. Yeah, it's Kale Cabin. It's free to like the video. Yeah, 3 little dots. Drop down, click the like. It's free. That's actually the price of admission. Hello, Lace. I need to hit you up. We had talked about you sending me some other grits of your spray, and I still just need to do a whole video about it. Problem is, you sent me the last bottle before this one, and I used all of it before I got a chance to do the video because it's just really good, and I've used a lot of it. I loaded my buddy's strops with it too. I really did. I liked the Stitch a lot. It, like I said, one of my favorite designs Microtech ever did with Borka blades. This is a better knife. Now, the Microtech Stitch with frame lock is great. It really is. This lock just does not do the justice that I want it to on that knife. But on this knife, it's just about perfect. So I would say if you get a chance to try one out. They're a really good knife. I'm just used to the reverse flick snap out on, oh, that coffee is so good, on a Microtech Stitch. Then to lose that, because I'm not gonna lie, the action on this is not a flippy. It's not a snappy action. Like, you're not gonna thumb flip this or reverse flick this out really. It's a much softer action, but on this knife, I'm perfectly fine with that. The slow roll, I like having more than one means of deployment, and if you see, I still have 2 means of deployment. I have to say that reverse flick is my favorite. That you're going to get on a lot of the Spydercos. The Spydercos that are the lockbacks typically don't have as free action. Have you heard of? I don't know where we're going. Do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man. The Muffin Man. Now you're back in knife YouTube, I guess. Yeah, I guess you are. Have you handled Sniper Blade Works LPC? Reminds me of Stitch. I have not handled any of the Sniper Blade Works knives. I haven't. Sorry. I'm trying to see why it looks like I got some. What do I think about the Benchmade Narrows? Mark, this is a channel where you're going to not hear me say a lot of good things about Benchmades. And then when you think about how dumb that knife is, like if it was by another company, I would say it was dumb. If you're going to ask me about a knife that I think, one, is one of the stupidest thought processes to ever go through anyone's head, and then to make it that expensive, we probably should just talk about it. I had an opportunity to review one, and I was like, you know what? No, I think I'll pass. I may revisit that after everybody has gotten theirs and they've realized how much money they wasted. I may do a video about them after that, but I'm going to tell you right now, I think it's probably the dumbest knife. That's all right, Mark, because that should have been the thumbnail for the video. Benchmade bushcrafter is like 350 or 450. Yeah, benchmade knives. Like when you have knives that are horribly done with garbage locks that have blade play and stuff in them, you refuse to innovate. Which, I mean, like I said, I guess that's what when you don't actually innovate, that wins you awards at Blade Show. But when you're not willing to change things, make this knife so it actually cuts and slices as opposed to being thick as a quarter behind the edge. The just so many things. Like your knives aren't gonna get a good overall showing on my channel. How are you older than my mom? Because I was born first. Like what? Like, are you a bot? Tell me you're a bot without telling me you're a bot. What are you, 6? I think the Benchmade Narrows is the dumbest knife that Benchmade ever thought up. Will a ceramic knife pass through a metal detector? It depends. A lot of companies have like the Zytel knives and stuff like that, that a lot of companies have that are the completely metal free. A lot of times, I'm not older than your mother. I'm 49. I don't turn 50 for a couple more months, so I'm not older than your mom. Kale. What was I talking about before I got distracted by something stupid? Ceramic knives, it depends. Ceramic kitchen knives, there's not enough metal in them. But the fact is that these days they're not necessarily doing metal detectors. You're not 100% going through what do they call them? Not a potentiometer. I can't remember. Fuck, I can't remember what they call them. At any rate, what you're going through is a backscatter a lot of times these days. They're trying to get away from just the metal detectors. They want everybody to go through a backscatter because it's more effective, and you're going to catch that. You'll catch the shadow of it because they're not. It's not like an X-ray where they're trying to go through. They're just it's a small thing. No, I don't know what a Therian is. Welcome to a knife channel. I'm not a Scientologist. Isn't that what they? Is that what it is? Yeah, Benchmade's just horrible. I don't know what else you want from me. Like that's what you're gonna get. Like I said, I wanted one of these for so long, and to get something for free and be that disappointed, that's stating a lot. Like that's when I knew how bad Benchmade was. No, they would still see it. That's how bad these knives are. When you, when, when you when you get one for free and you're still disappointed, that's saying a lot. And that's just saying like that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Was this my daughter accidentally took her carbon poker that she wears around her neck when walking the dog. She called me and was like, "Mom, come up here and get me now." She was so scared she had it. I'm not gonna lie, I've accidentally gotten knives through. I've gotten knives that I forgot I had through TSA. And I don't mean in my bag. You can pack anything you want in your bag. I didn't figure anybody that makes a knife for Benchmade, it probably isn't their vision. They're like, wow, thanks for fucking up my design. I've actually taken pocket knives like with me inside the plane. Like they were in my computer bag or my backpack, and they just didn't find them. And I was like, wow, that's dissettling. That's disheartening. So I had a little buck knife that I accidentally got, like a little buck, like fucking multi-blade Stockman, I think. like a 3-bladed Stockman that I accidentally got through. Getting something for free really helps you clear your sense of something because you have no skin in the game. That's what I've said. Like, people are like, well, you got that knife for free. Of course you're going to give it a good review. I was like, I'm much more inclined to give a knife that I paid for a better review than a knife that I didn't. I got nothing to lose. Like, case in point. Case in point. Why is there a fucking weed cartridge just sitting out open? What the fuck? I got this knife for free. I didn't pay for this. It got a good review. Not because I got it for free. I got it with an item that I bought. I like this knife. I really do. Case in point, just saying every poo-poo time is pee-pee time. This is a very true statement. Why can I? Yeah, very true. Why is it? I haven't thought about that in a very long time. Why is it that I can pee without pooping, but I don't think I've ever pooped without peeing. I just got here. What knife is that? What knife is that? My most carried ones right now. The Microtech Amphibian and a I'm sorry, I'm reading the comments at the same time I'm doing this. This is the Spyderco Military 2. Release the bowels. I'm having coffee, so there's a good chance. This is my first cup of coffee of the day. There's a good chance we may have to adjourn this. Well, that's not staying up. In the space program, astronauts must be able to poop without peeing because the mechanisms are separate. Well, that sounds horrible. That's like, all right, for the rest of your life, you got to sneeze with your eyes open. I'm like, no, if I can just shoot me. My Bob Terzuola interview was great. Yeah, I broke it up into smaller parts. But Bob's a really good friend of mine, and I've wanted to do that for a while. And I had talked to Bob about it, and Bob and his wife were like, we don't know about doing an interview. You know, we have the whole book coming out and the Sharp Life series. So like, that's not what I'm going to do. Like, I just want to get people to get to know Bob the way that I know Bob. And I love Bob. Bob is like a surrogate grandfather for me at this point. I love that guy. And I don't get to see him as often as I want. I see your message, but I'm not going to approve it because I don't want to demonetize this live feed. It is funny though. Your dog comment is hilarious. I just can't allow it because it'll demonetize the live feed. Sorry. And you have to be careful in live feeds with the comment section. And then people get bent about like something that someone else said. So there are things I hold for review. But just so that you know, Swim Basin 619, I did see your comment and I am laughing about it. And I apologize that the rest of the world isn't going to get to see it tonight. It was funny. It made me chuckle. But yeah, I don't get to spend as much time with Bob. Oh, I still have to find it. Let's go find it. It is here somewhere. It has to be because I know I had it out for a video. Unless I put it back in the box in the house. So I'm making a concerted effort to find that for you right now. Because I definitely, well, one, I want to know where the fuck I put it. Two, there it is, found it. This is the smallest knife I own. I had thought about that after, Sammy, I had thought about that after I have committed crimes without being convicted. Does that mean there was no crime? No. It doesn't. And in some cases, just because you were convicted of a crime doesn't mean that a crime actually occurred. There have been a lot of reversals on that. So I'm pulling it out right now. So it's in this box right here. This is the Reich Knives Hummingbird. This is the Reich Knives Hummingbird. Now, in comparison, Benchmade 940 is not a very big knife. This is the smallest knife I own. It's a fully functional flipper with a pocket clip in Damasteel, running on bearings. Now, I admittedly have really large hands, but that is a very, very small knife. It comes with a little neck sheath that you can wear. Well, just because it's small doesn't mean it's cheap, because these are, oh, I hit it with my finger. These are not cheap. These are, I think these are 100 and, let's see here. Let's back to this. Why am I not? Well, for some reason, there we go. It's not cheap. Let me explain to you why it's not cheap. Because this has everything that you have on a large knife, including high-end materials. The blade on this is done in Damasteel, which is, no, it's not useful. It was 100% a way of showing off the machining that they can do. This runs on bearings. There is a set of caged bearings in there. Great, it looks cheap. These are about 150, 200. The machining that is done on it, here, now we got better light. Intricate machining, powdered metallurgy Damascus. Well, you're getting blocked. Don't come on here and make racial comments. Don't come on here and make off-color jokes. Do that on your own channel. Try and ruin shit on your own time. These things are a piece of machining wizardry. These were the smallest knives that had ever been made, and it was just basically a way for them to showcase what they can do. Because if you can do things, doing something big in the first, like doing a big knife is impressive. Getting a big knife right is good. It's a good thing. Doing a small knife and having it be as good as your big knives is saying something. Doing anything in miniature makes it so much more difficult. And being able to do it makes it more expensive. Yeah, I heard you the first 3 times. Like I'm explaining to you why it's not cheap and the intent of it. Like I got your just looks cheap thing several times. It is the Reich Knives Hummingbird. So their big folders are pretty impressive, but with a heavy blade, okay, having a smooth knife has a lot of things going with it. Like this knife is really smooth, but I can definitely feel. Great, fine. Like I said, you're welcome to your opinion, but let's move on. We're done talking about how it looks cheap. The weight of this blade adds to it. You can do a lot of Brandon Faust. Nice sticker. I'm done with that. Do I still have it? Yeah, it's my daughter's. It's here somewhere. Well, no, I sharpened it for her, and I think she took it back upstairs and put it in her dresser. So it's in her room. That's her knife. So it gets out for sharpening every once. So she uses it for stuff. She uses it opening her Amazon packages and stuff. And she told me, she's like, it doesn't cut. I was like, oh, it feels a little dull. So I sharpened it for her. But I don't know. Find a Taylor Swift channel. Ask her fans. So at any rate, I mean, how many times, like, I get the same comments over and over, and I'm starting to think that there's just some bots on here that just like to ask dumb questions in chats. Obviously, a knife channel. What knife would you recommend for for work and everyday use? Okay, so back to this. Brandon Faust, thank you very much. You guys see like super chats and super stickers. I'm not trying to get you guys to drop them. But if you have a channel that you follow that you watch regularly, just drop those every once in a while. It's not so much that it helps out, like $5. I really appreciate it. $5 isn't in the big scope of things going to add that much revenue to my channel, especially if it's the only one I get. But it definitely lets me know that you guys appreciate the content. Every once in a while, it's just nice to see them. I just like, so if you have a knife channel, would I recommend okay. So I've talked about this before, and for me, it's out of character to have said this. I think that the PM2, even though I like the Military 2 better, is probably the perfect EDC. This is probably the best all-around EDC you're going to find. You've got a really great blade shape, almost identical to its bigger brother, the Military. It's got its bigger brother, blade shape really, really similar, handle shape really, really similar. This is just basically a larger version of that knife. This has my spot for the best all-around EDC, hands down. I quit watching football years ago. Like when you decide you're going to kneel at my national anthem and flag that I stood up for in the military, I'm not going to watch your bullshit anymore. So that's as political as we're going to get on this. But yeah, I don't go for that. That's not how I roll. At any rate, what I was saying, if you want what I think is the perfect, it's not hockey. The Oilers is a football team. So I think that this is basically a perfect EDC. Is it perfect, the knife overall? No. Is it perfect for everyday carry for just about any situation? Yes. So that's where I would go with that. I would recommend it all the time. You live in Canada? I'm sorry. What's it like living in Cuba too? 15, I have a para 2 for 6 years. It's as sturdy as when I got it. Yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah, the Military 2 has a compression lock, and I put a CME on it. So yeah, the Military 2 is compression lock, just like the PM2. Oh my God. What I got here? I just got a message. Now they're the Texans. I don't know. At any rate, I just know that the Oilers and the Panthers were football teams. To tell you the truth, could give a shit less about professional football. Right now, I'm EDCing a Best Tech Swordfish button lock. I had a Swordfish, but it was a frame lock or a liner lock. I can't remember. Just picked out a Holtzman Gorilla fixed blade bushcraft. It's amazing. I love it. Is that I have one of those. That's the little small neck knife, right? With the Brandon, is that the one with the fire starter or the diamond? I can't remember what it is. It's the one with the diamond strip on the sheath, right? Is that what I'm thinking of? I have one here. I personally didn't like it, but I know that there's a lot of people that did like it. I personally didn't find it to be yeah, that's what I was saying. It was too heavy as a neck knife, and it just was a little bit. It was like the problem with a lot of neck knives, and the reason I went an opposite direction with mine. I'll show you mine. I'll go up and get it. The reason I went a different direction with the one that I designed, which is not necessarily a neck knife, it wound up being sold as a neck knife. I just didn't like how bulky they were, and they try to do too much. They're like, oh, it's so sturdy and it's so heavy built and heavy duty that, yeah, it is. But then it winds up being so thick behind the edge it won't cut. So I designed a knife. Oh, the sharpener on a sheath was worthless. I didn't want my knife that wound up being a neck knife to be like that. And so I had options. So I carry mine scout carry. Mine has, I got mine back. Hey buddy, you awake now? So when I got this, my wife would be flipping out right now if she was home. I designed this, which is a small little fixed blade. And so that you know small, how small, this knife is 9.5 inches. That is my little fixed blade design next to the Military 2. It's a very small fixed blade, but it's also thin. A lot of people mistake this, that you got to have this thick blade stock and super thick behind the edge to do anything. Like, oh, it's got to be thick. Yes and no. The fact is, steel is as strong at this thickness as it is at a thicker thickness. I didn't go too thin on this. I have never broken one of my thin fixed blades. I've never broken one of my thin folding knives, the thin behind the edge knives. I have never pried on something and broken the tip off of a knife that comes down to a thin tip. Now, I do know people that do. I don't think they did. And if they did, I'm going to throw a fit. This design came in really handy. I had made a few of them. I carried one that I had made as a test knife. I carried it on job sites when I was working construction, and that's when I realized, I was like, I got to get this released. That's a great, great design for this. I don't know Beef Baron. I don't know where. I mean, where? What knife? What's their model? What model? I'll look it up right now. What model are you saying that they fucking stole my sea snake design? Because I'm friends with Savannah at Rosecraft, and if that's the case, I'm gonna have to give her a call. The finger cutout, yeah, you get a lot more control. So I prefer a fixed blade. I do prefer a fixed blade, but sometimes you can't carry a fixed blade. This is why this was in the middle, because it's nice and small. It's got the same overall feel of a folding knife, but and size factor. But I don't have to worry about taking my gloves off to manipulate a lock. So when you're on a job site, you can put this on your belt, horizontal, scout carry is what it's called. You put soft loops on it. You carry it horizontal on your belt. You carry it horizontal on your belt, and then you've got a knife that you can just in and out, use it for what you need. It's nice and thin. The steel responds to a strop really easily. Uh, and use it for box cutter, cutting Visqueen and things like that. And as you can see, this knife gets a lot of use. This is one of the production prototypes before it ever got released. And uh, you can definitely carry it instead of a fixed blade. And it definitely is one of those things, or instead of a folding knife, I mean, and it's one of those things that you find really handy. You can also put a chain on it, carry it around your neck if that's how you want to use it. I don't really like neck knives. It got released as a neck knife because they just didn't have the ability to put, they really just didn't have the ability to put soft loops on it because soft loops are an expensive little item. Are you the one? Did you ask about my favorite knife last time, and it was somewhere or I couldn't find it? Remember, there was somebody that asked about my favorite knife and the smallest knife. I already showed the smallest knife. My favorite knife. Oh, if you guys think we've seen some expensive knives so far, you guys are gonna shit when we do this. Okay, here's the thing. This is, as much as I may agree with you, this isn't the channel for that. So this is my favorite knife. This is a Grail knife. I went out of my way. I saved for 5 years, on and off, had to dip into that fund to get this knife. But this is my favorite knife. This is, if he's talking about the Clinch River, the Clinch River is a sway back slip joint, right? That's definitely not a copy. That is a knife that has been around. That is their version of a pattern of a sway back with a Wharncliffe blade. That design has been around for decades, if not more than 100 years. It's at least, okay, here's the thing. This is not the channel for that. So, I'm sorry. This knife, oh, there we go, is my favorite knife of all time. I actually have been keeping it in its case because I use it too much, and I'm afraid I'm going to sharpen it down to nothing. And this is absolutely great. It's like having two knives in one. It's like having two knives in one. And you're blocked. So it's like having two knives in one. This is a Norseman. So you have this forward edge here that you can use for doing a lot of stuff and pushing into, get up on it. And then you have the hollow grind on this, with the hollow machined blade on this that is done as a recurve, and it is a compound Tonto. So, well, not a compound, a recurve Tonto, I should say. So this thing is absolutely great. It's an RWL 34 steel, titanium. I redid the anodizing on it. You can see it's two-tone. It's hard to see in this light, but it's two-tone. View message. I'm hiding that one. But these are not cheap. These are $1,000. I think I spent over $1,000 for this when I bought it. These things are great. So these things are amazing. This is probably one of the best constructed knives on the market you're ever going to find. And it's an incredible knife. They are a little bit more challenging to sharpen, but when you get it in hand, you just realize how good they are. And then when you cut with them, you're like, you finally get the you understand the functionality of it. Yes, they're ugly. I don't find it ugly. I don't think they're ugly, but a lot of people do. I would absolutely say don't get the one in CPM 154. I don't like CPM 154. This takes just a ridiculous edge. RWL 34 takes a way better edge, in my opinion, than RWL 34. And it comes packaged like this. So no, that's absolutely not true. This is one of the most versatile knives I own. It's not there for show. It absolutely, I carried, even though this is a $1,000 knife, I carried this on a daily basis for a long time, used it and used it and used it. You can tell, I mean, it's not pristine. I don't have any safe cleans. I used the crap out of this. All right, Craig, I'm going to tell you something. So with some very minor exceptions, you can't compare one steel to another. There are some exceptions to that. There's some definite exceptions. You can kind of compare M390, 204P, and 20CV. They are very, very similar steels. They are almost analogs for each other. There's some other ones out there. Nitro V, I think, is an analog for another steel that was out on the market that was a nitrogen-based steel. There's a lot of knives that are similar. AEBL is similar, but it's a different heat treat. So even though those steels, like I said, 204P, 20CV, and M390, they're still very similar, but they're going to have some different characteristics. 20CV does take a different edge at the same heat treat than M390. Has a lot to do with their powdered metallurgy methods, the way that it's deposited, the fineness of the nozzles and things like that. But chemically, they're very, very similar. Rex 45 and HAP 40, I think, yeah, are really similar. There's a couple others out there. But when you get down to it, trying to compare two different steels is as different as comparing apples and watermelons. You'd be closer to compare an apple to some other fruits, but typically when you're looking at two different steels, like, well, that's basically just this. And I'm like, it's not though. That's like Crewwear and D2. Crewwear and D2 are really, really similar. ATS 34 and ATS 34 and 154 CM. Super, super similar. ATS 34 was something that was being made by Hitachi in Japan. The aircraft industry wanted to use it for the fins inside jet engines. They just could not get the amount of it, so they reformulated ATS 34, and that's where 154 CM came from. So 154 CM, then in the 70s, after it had been out for a while, 154 CM, Bob Loveless looked at it and was like, hey, this is a really good steel for knife making. And it is. Bob Terzola still makes all of his knives in 154 CM, or now I guess he does use MagnaCut. But they're still different. And then 154 CM just wasn't what Bob Loveless wanted anymore. It wasn't exactly what he wanted. He came up and formulated RWL 34. So if you don't know what RWL 34 is, that stands for, what is it, Robert Waldo Loveless? I can't remember what his middle name was. Bob Loveless helped formulate the steel. It's named after him. And it is one of the best knife steels you're going to find. It's really consistent, super fine, still takes a crisp edge, still has the carbides you want, but takes a polish, super consistent. What do I think about the Hawk Deadlock? It's the only knife that ever got a perfect from me. What do I think about, is it Grant or is Gavin? Whichever one the son is. What do I think about him? I have my own opinions. We had an interaction that then was followed up by another interaction where I was told, yeah, that sounds great. And then the following interaction was, yeah, we don't think your platform's big enough for that. And I'm like, well, that's not what you said 3 months ago. So what do I think about the knife? It's amazing. What do I think about the son who now owns a business now that the father's gone? I can't say that I'm going to go seek them out as a friend. Let's just put it that way. It's an amazing knife. The Hawk Deadlock is the only knife on this channel I have said is perfect. I can find nothing wrong with it. Zero. Zero. Yeah, I'll go get the fidgety knife. You guys are gonna. I'm gonna have to clean up a mess in the house now. So this is the last knife I'm gonna go get as a request because we're almost out of time anyway. Bro, shut up about the gravity knife. Now he's not wrong. It's great. I need to get it out of this case anyway because I keep taking it to work and eventually I'm gonna get pulled over and I will find that one cop that absolutely. I'm gonna show you another knife because it's gonna lead into something else. Yes, I will go get the gravity knife because I want to. Well, I'm gonna carry it anyway. I need this to carry it though. It's not. You're not being annoying. It's just I've got literally 25 knives out now that I didn't have when we started this 95 minutes ago. Will B is here. Exo gravity knife. I haven't had it out of the case and carried it for a while, and I do like carrying it. So price is kind of only minus for how good it is. Going to work early today. I'm off today. I'm off on Sundays and Mondays. So for me, it's still Sunday night, Monday morning. Have you seen the new Microtech that they say has no blade play? No. If it is as good as the Deadlock from Hawk, I will buy that. This, I'm only showing you this. Well, I'm showing you this because it's amazing. This is a knife by KATSU Knives. I carry this knife a lot. This is a great, great knife. And the reason I'm showing you this is because this company is going to make my first folding knife design. Yeah, you heard it. You heard me say it. I have a folding knife design that's coming out, and it's going to be through KATSU Knives. There will also be a fixed blade version of it. It's unfortunately not going to be in ZDP 189 like I wanted. That's what I was getting ready to say. I wanted it to be in ZDP 189. The problem is ZDP 189 is very, very time consuming and they have to put their orders in for it really, really early and they're like, it just won't work. So I'm waiting on prototypes. So we're gonna do some other steel options. They've done some other steels. We'll see. I want it to be in the ZDP 189 as well. So Old Timer Littlefinger looks a bit like yours too. Not really. I mean, maybe a little. I have one of them here. Abigail, hi. It would have been super sick, but it's going to be a convex edge just like this. It's going to be, they have other materials. I'm not going to do 154 CM, I don't think. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I want something else. Yes, ZDP1, it's not that it's the hardest steel, it's that you can heat treat it to be. This is 67 Rockwell. This will score glass. Like I can scratch glass with this. So yeah, 67-ish, 60. I've tested it on a glass bottle, and with the corner of that, I can score glass with it. So when you hit that, that means that this is 67. So when you start hitting 67 Rockwell, that's when you can score glass. A lot of times it's brittle at 67. This has not been. I have not had any chipping or anything with this. And it does not, it's really, really hard to scratch the finish. I mean, there's some on there, you can see them. But I had to go out, like I was really putting this through its paces. So that's where we're at on that. So, guys, it's been like 100 minutes. I want to spend some time with the dog. I want to play some video games. I want to do some other stuff. It's okay. So surprisingly, even at that hardness, if you're using diamond stones, it's really not that hard to sharpen. So it's really not, it's not that difficult. You do want diamond for it. However, I'm going to tell you right now, you can do it, ZDP 189, even at a high Rockwell like that, you still can do with aluminum oxide. It's just going to take you a very, 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 very long time. I've done it. I've done ZDP 189 on regular stones. Takes forever. But you can do it. The edge is not quite as crisp. I'm not gonna lie, it's not as crisp. But in a pinch, you can do it. Most steels, with the exception of like Maximet or Rex 121, where you've got tungsten carbides, or now there's a steel that has titanium carbides in it. You need diamond. What grit diamond stone? I have all the grits diamond stone. I got diamond stones from 60 grit all the way up to 2,000, 4,000, 5,000 grit. I also have ceramics all the way up to 12,000 grit because I used to professionally sharpen things. So it just depends on what grit you want. You don't use one stone. So can you sharpen 3B on ceramic? You can sharpen anything on ceramic. Like ceramic is another one of those materials that like, so when you look at it, we're going to talk about this, the what steel has titanium carbides. I don't know, but I do know there's one out there. I can't remember. It was one, I think I think Sean, Big Brown Bear, I think he had a steel that he was talking about that had titanium carbides. So you have tungsten carbides and stuff like that, but there was one that had titanium carbides in it, and I can't remember what steel it was. But I've never seen it, so it might just, maybe I'm getting it mixed up, but I'm pretty sure of it. But those are really, really hard, and you need the tungsten carbides that are in like in Maximet and Rex 121. Those you need diamond. You gotta have a diamond. You're not doing it without diamond or CBN. I think CBN will do it too. But I don't like CBN. I just don't find those stones to be, oh, you want CBN? I was like, no, I don't. No, if I want anything, I want ceramic. So ceramics, your average ceramic stone, like your Spyderco ceramics and stuff like that, people argue with me all the time. They wind up being a type of ceramic that turns into corundum. And so what corundum is a form of aluminum oxide that then has been turned into sapphire. Corundum is what sapphires are made out of. Sapphires, emeralds, rubies, all just one step below diamond on that chart, on the Mohs hardness scale, right? So rubies, sapphires, emeralds, they're all made of corundum. What gives them their color are the different chemical impurities. Like emerald, I believe, is titanium, or maybe it's sapphire that's titanium that is in it that turns into like a titanium oxide that makes it blue. And then emeralds, whatever is in it's green, and whatever is in rubies makes it red, at any rate. But corundum is what your ceramic stones wind up being. So basically, when you buy one of those white ceramic ultrafine stones, you have an entire plate of synthetic sapphire. It's all corundum. The zirconium is basically corundum. Corundum, hardly knew them. So that's why ceramic stones work really well. The downfall of a lot of ceramic stones is that, like, especially those really, really fine, really, really hard Spyderco ones, they're slick. And so maintaining your angle can be tricky if you haven't done it. I use them all the time, so it doesn't bother me. I know that they're going to be slick, but they will give you one of the most aggressive and most attractive edges you're going to find. There's just something about them that leaves you, even though it's a high polish, it leaves you a very, very, very sticky, aggressive edge. I would recommend the Shapton Pro ceramic stones. They feel more like a water stone. They act like a water stone. They cut like a water stone, but they're made of ceramic. It's just a loosely bound ceramic. It's not like a fired ceramic like what you get in the Spyderco stones. So, Will, that's enough out of you. My moderators acting like that. That's just unacceptable. So, centered versus vitrified. There you go. Thank you. I was looking. I was desperately seeking the letter mixture. I was looking for the word vomit to make that one work. I love the Shapton ceramic stones. I think that they are probably some of the best ones you're going to find. I also do like the Spyderco ceramic ones. They're really expensive. Thank you. The word, what's the words are hard, Lacey. Words are difficult sometimes. I'll show you the difference in a second because I can do that out in the studio because that's where my workbench and all my sharpening stuff is. There's a big difference between them. Speaking of words being hard, I took French. I was telling somebody about this. I took French in school, in high school, and I can still understand French. I took 4 years of French, but I failed French 1 the first year, just because I wouldn't do the homework. I retook it and I passed. So I took 3 years of French. I still understand French, but I also am fluent in Japanese. The problem I have with French is I can speak a little bit of French now, but when I run into a word where I'm confused, my brain automatically substitutes. My brain automatically substitutes the word that I'm trying to find in French with the word in Japanese. It's like, oh no, that word's ready. This one's right here. So apparently, I have room for 2 languages in my brain because it's like fucking first in, first out. Like it's fucking there we go. So back to the whole Jesus. It's a mess out here. Look what you guys have done. Got all this stuff that's out now. At any rate, no, most of that stuff was already out. So in my sharpening drawer, we got a lot of ceramic. We got a lot of diamond. Everything on this side, aluminum oxide. Everything here, standard aluminum oxide. You hit here, you get into ceramic. This is my diamond plate. These are all diamond, and there's some ceramic rods. The difference between the ceramics, like I'm saying, this is the 1000 grit ceramic Shapton Pro that I have. This is 1000 grit, right? This is, you can hear it when I touch. Let me get it down here. This has got a different feel to it. You can actually scratch it with a blade. You do have to flatten it. You have to do some stone maintenance on these. You have to flatten them from time to time. They will dish out. I have 1,000, 5,000, 8,000, 10,000, 12,000 in those stones. Those are sintered. This is a vitrified ceramic stone. And just looking at it, please don't drop this. They break like glass. But just looking at it, you can see how shiny that is. And it's because it's super, super hard it can be slick. You don't get the feedback. It doesn't bite the knife the same way the sintered ones do. They're so hard they break like glass. Which do I prefer, ceramic or diamond? I prefer whatever stone gets me the best results with the best feedback. A big part of sharpening is feeling what the knife is doing. I'm much more inclined to like a stone that gives me good feedback. And when I talk about feedback is you can feel the interface between the knife and the stone. You can feel whether it's cutting. You can feel when you've gotten, like if you've sharpened a lot, and Lacey knows this too, if you've gotten to a point where you aren't so much watching what you're doing, but feeling and listening, you can hear the change in the way the knife sounds on the stone. You can feel the way the knife interfaces with the stone. And you can tell when you've reached a point that that grip, the scratch pattern from the last stone is pretty much all gone. Now, when you move to the next stone, you may see some spots you missed that were like some deeper scratches. Then you have to go back down one and clean that up. But basically, I prefer a stone that's going to give me fast cutting, consistent cutting, like the grit is consistent, and gives me good feedback. That is the best, and that's why I like those Shapton Pros. The Shapton Pros cut fast, they cut well, they consistent grit, they hold up really well, and you wind up with a good feel, and you can tell when you're interfacing with the stone. So it's just a bunch of stuff. And having done professional knife sharpening for Jesus, 2009 till now, till recently when I stopped offering it as just like open customers. Well, you're not doing it here either. You're not doing it here anymore. Can you assume? Can you? Yes. Should you? No. You're going to remove way more material than you need to. A belt sharpening system is going to take off way more material than you ever want to take off your knife. You are going to ruin your knives, and you're going to burn up your edges because you don't know what you're doing. Like a belt sharpening system, the dumbest thing possible. Even when I made knives, when I made custom knives, yes, the initial edge to knock the majority of the material off was done on a belt. That was just to remove the material so I didn't have to put the wear and tear on my stones. Every knife I made got a hand sharpened edge on stones. Belts burn up edges. They remove too much material. They're horrible. The Work Sharp sharpener system with the belts is the dumbest investment you can make. There's too much friction. Some steels are really susceptible to the friction that you're going to get. They generate too much friction. If you pause somewhere in the blade, you're going to have an area where you've now got a low spot in the blade. It has to be done. Just don't buy one. Don't buy one. Don't do it. And if there's a company that's offering sharpening service and you see that they're using a belt, don't go to that company. If it's absolutely a stupid expensive knife and you want somebody that you know can be trusted to do it, I have sharpened knives that cost anywhere between $7,000 and $10,000. I've sharpened custom knives from Bob Terzola for Bob. I've sharpened custom knives for high-end knife makers. If you have a knife that is that expensive, reach out to me. I'll do the sharpening. And if I can't do it, Lacey would be my second choice. If it's just for general sharpening, she still offers her sharpening service. Mine is more of a closed loop thing these days. I do knives here and there for custom makers. KME, as far as like a guided system, I'd say a KME or one of the other ones like the TS Prof is another good one that's really similar to it. I don't like guided systems either. Guided systems have a tendency to give you a false sense of ability and then you screw up an expensive knife. That's the other thing, Mark. That's what I was saying, Mark. They generate friction, which can generate heat, which can ruin a heat treat. On a steel like 20 CV, where you're talking about your temperature, I tempered at 1,000 degrees, hardening it at 2,200, tempering at 1,000. That's a custom heat treat that I did for 20 CV. It got me 64, 65 Rockwell out of 20 CV M390. If you're talking about something like 1095, where you're talking about heat treating, where your temper is at 400 degrees, yeah, you could easily get past that on a belt driven system. You know what I'm saying? 1095 steel, I think 450 degrees temperature on that. So it's the petrified fish Havrog is such a good knife. You know what? I need, now that I have a job and I'm making money and I'm working overtime, the YouTube money should be dedicated to my personal hobbies. And I do believe I'm going to make a list of knives that I did reviews on that I fucking need to buy. And that Havrog, petrified fish Havrog, is one that stands out in my mind of things. I just can't spend a lot of money right now. The wife and kid went to Japan. So between tickets and souvenirs and all the stuff that we had to do, kid graduated. She needed a new computer. She's going to college when she comes back. She needed a new laptop. Between that, we spent like eight or 9 grand total on everything. And we need to get a car for the kid. Right now, we're not spending any money. Going to the grocery store today hurt because I did that first trip to the grocery store after the wife leaves, so I can just buy a bunch of stuff so I don't have to go as often. Just a bunch of like canned goods and oh, Mark, another one. Thank you very much. Let's see. How do I? It says celebrate. I want to celebrate this. It says celebrate. Let's celebrate their first. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to say thank you more than thank you. It says let's celebrate it, and I try to click on it and do stuff, and it just tells me I could put you in timeout. I could hide you. I could remove you. I can report you, but it won't let me celebrate you. I tried to pin it. So thank you very much, sir. That's $9.98 that Mark Brophy has provided us. Yeah, just don't get. You really want to know the truth? Even a fixtured system, like a fixed angled system, you're gonna fuck up the tip on your knife. Like, don't do. I'm telling you right now, if you get an Edge Pro or a Wicked Edge, you're gonna fuck up the tip on your knife. You're gonna round that tip over badly. And you. Medgar Evers. I like that comment. Thank you very much. That one stays. The fixtured systems, people get to going fast. Like I see these guys doing a Wicked Edge, and I'm like, one, your scratch pattern is going the wrong way. You're going from heel to tip at this angle. That means that it's going to push cut really well, but when you draw a cut, it's not. And I've done explanations about that and stuff like that. So you can look up those videos. You want your edge, you want your scratch pattern. Jesus, I was going to end this. You want your scratch pattern to go this way. You want it to be going this way so that when you pull across, it's like a draw cut saw. If you are using a Wicked Edge, you're doing the exact opposite. You're starting at this angle, going from the heel to the tip, and you're like, I'm like, that's a waste. And then when you hit the end, you're sliding off and you round the tip over. I have had almost every knife that anyone has ever sent me that they're like, yeah, I sharpened it with a Wicked Edge, but what happened to the tip? And I'm like, well, it's because you slid off the tip every time you got to the front. Ridiculous. They're the dumbest things. If you're going to use a fixtured system, practice first. Get to the point where you know where that stone is. You're still going to fuck it up. I'm telling you right now, you're going to fuck up. You're going to knock the tip off of a knife. You're going to round the tip off a knife. The reason is because you're looking down at the stone and you can't see how much more of that blade is on that stone has to go, and then you slide off. If you're doing freehand sharpening, you're looking at the blade on top of the stone and you can see exactly how far you're going and not slip off. That's how you maintain nice, crisp tips on a knife. That's why I hate to invest in expensive knives. I like to use and abuse. I got some very expensive knives that I carry around and beat the shit out of on a daily basis. I do. I mean, a lot of people are that's too expensive. 246 for that. Like, yeah. Like, well, are you gonna just keep it? I use the crap out of it. Can you get a good sharp edge on a knife that has a thick behind the edge? I have a thick ceramite in D2. It's impossible to get toothy sharp. You're going to have to just lay your angle back and remove a good bit more material. What about those Lansky rods? They're okay for touch-up. I don't like the Lansky rods. They're basically a touch-up system. They're really not. A lot of times the Lansky rods, they're not aggressive enough. They're more of a maintenance type thing. And you can get the same place by having a kitchen rod like this. There's one that hangs up out here at the mess of a workbench that's right here. You can see that hangs up right there. I use that for touch-up because if I throw it in the drawer, it's going to be broken. Well, they're still ceramic, Lone Star. Lansky's not a great company, but at least they're still ceramic. I don't think they would crumble. I honestly think that they just are too soft. They load up. Not too soft, I mean, but too, they're too fine. They load up really easy. You got to clean them. You got to use a green scrub pad and a powder detergent like Comet or Barkeeper's Friend on them and stuff like that. So I mean, they might chip and shatter. May your blade chip and shatter. I just always found them to just not be aggressive enough to give me what I want. That kitchen rod that you saw in there, that came from Edge Pro, not Edge Pro. Yeah, Edge Pro. That's where I bought that. That's an Edge Pro ceramic kitchen rod. Edge Pro has some of the best ceramic rods you're ever going to find. They have some really great aluminum oxide stones. They have some really great diamond matrix stones. If you want to sharpen the way I do, which is the small stones in the palm of the hand and things like that. So, guys, at any rate, I have a bunch of stuff. I haven't eaten yet. It's almost what would be my lunchtime if I was going to work. I'm going to get off of here. I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out. I really dig the fact that you guys were here. Forgot your name already. I'm sorry. Aunt Meat Beater. How's your day been, amigo? It's been good. I mean, other than the fact that I worked 56 hours this last week. And it's the first time off I've had. It's been great. Mark, where are you at? Mark, I'm trying to remember. Mark Bropey. Thank you very much for the super chats and the super things. So I will see you guys around. I may do another one of these tomorrow night. Just depends. I think I just want to sit around and play video games and just do me stuff. I think I owe myself a me day. So like I said, you're gonna get this video today, which will be your Monday content. And then you'll have a Friday and Sunday videos. That's gonna be the upload schedule. It's gonna be Mondays. I'll do these. You sent two. You definitely sent two. You sent two, Mark. You sent two super stickers for a total of $9.98 because I can still see it up there. So yeah, I'm gonna make myself a steak for lunch because I bought myself a couple steaks because I wanted steak for Father's Day. That's gonna be my Father's Day meal. And then probably do this like 10 or 11 o'clock tomorrow night. Yeah, you did. Sorry. Yeah, we'll do this. But yeah, Sundays, like the recorded videos, Sundays and Fridays and Sundays, recorded videos. Mondays is live feeds. So I will see you guys next time. And the bots have showed back up, so that just means it's time to fucking go. Later, guys.